Sino detatamo. Once upon a time, I was watching a movie that I actually kinda liked on a purely technical level. The camera work was fine, the acting was tolerable, I didn't want to fall asleep while watching it, all was nice and cozy until it dawned on me, wait a second, I've exclaimed. This isn't a good movie, this is a 1 hour long porn movie about an American actor that tries to copy Schwarzenegger's accent, having his way with a 25-year-old black actress that plays the role of his 18-year-old stepsister. Not only am I not erect, this film is also not really that impressive as I thought it was. So yes, the theme of today's Sino Tetatamo is animes that I've watched and could probably recommend in a more casual environment, but will probably extensively fart on during this ramble like a particularly flatulent elephant. By the Grace of Gods is a 12-episode isekai anime developed by Maho Film, whose defining characteristic could be summarized by the story premise. A guy working for a black company dies, gets reborn as an overpowered blessed wonder boy, so he spends the following 3 years living in a cave playing with slimes, and then he meets some nice people that return him to civilization. What, is that all? Yep. Pretty much it. In show's defense, its approach in regards to the whole isekai business is slightly better than other shows I care to remember, and that the mechanics of it are explained, and there is a visible influence on the world from the previous batch of superpowered weirdos. The plot isn't that complex, all things considered, and neither are character interactions. In fact, it was so inoffensively average, I struggle to even say what I like or dislike about it, mostly because I already forgot most of the show. Oh no, I remembered now. I really didn't appreciate the usual Japanese approach to the show's gimmick, where the guy demonstrably wreaks havoc on everything, but it's not appreciated because it's not cool enough, or something like that. You know, your Rising of the Shield heroes, irregular at a magic academy and whatever else. In this anime, slimes are discriminated against because they are a low-level mob, even though the main protagonist's entire gimmick is that he vomits slime all over the place and even uses slime in everyday tasks so much it's impressive this world hasn't converted into a slime punk world by now. Anyway, the anime is a nice and inoffensive little thing that I liked enough to recommend to people that just want to relax, but at the same time I have to warn people that you'll forget about it in about a day or so after the last episode. Moving on. Continuing its ongoing Korean fever, Crunchyroll gives us its quote-unquote original with a very unfortunate name of the darling variety. Contextually, I think Nobles is a more appropriate way to say it, but it can also be called Noblesse or simply Nobles, so to spare you the confusion, I shall call it the only appropriate name, Noblesse. Noblesse is a 13-episode anime developed by Production IG, whose stated genre is dark fantasy, but I prefer to call it a streamlined shonen anime. Basically, there's this dude who is the aforementioned Noblesse, a being whose lack of a knob gives him superpowers beyond any possible belief, which is why he bumbles around at his personal high school with his human friends. Besides him, there are also people he likes that eventually form a community around him, and do you even give a shit at this point? Big strong man is big and strong, and others are pretty much the stars of the show. It's One Punch Man, only less self-aware. Before I continue, I have to explain some things, lest be I accused of not being fair to the show. The show itself is absolutely okay in a technical sense of the term. It is watchable and it does everything it needs to do as far as the genre is concerned. The characters are memorable enough, other than the Noblesse himself, whose defining character moments is that he is very stunted emotionally, but even that is not that much of a novelty these days. My biggest criticism of the show in general would be pretty much the same one I had for God of High School, and that it feels rushed, but considering that they've crammed 3 volumes into 13 episodes, that is to be expected. The reason why I sound like I don't want to talk about this anime is because I hardly need to. It is a shonen anime with epic characters, epic power levels, and all those other cool stories that is fun to watch, so I can definitely understand why it's popular, but if you seriously sit down and try to explain it to another person, the result will be very boring, annoying, and honestly not worth the time spent.